devoted fans of YouTube, sporting, hunting, shooting, and recreational fun with rifles. Whether that be long range, target shooting, F-class, PRS, hunting, or any of the above, we've got another special episode for you here at Accurate Rifles and Restorations. This is part of a continuing series we got on rebuilding rifle from kind of from the ground up, taking a factory configuration with the stock and the barrel and going through, truing it up, putting a new barrel on and all that good stuff, which you will find on the channel if you look for 338 Remington Ultramag rebuild or something like that. But anyway, this is a special part of that series, which we're going to use as a separate video. 338 Remington Ultramag and your Ultramags and your 7 STWs and your cartridges that get, basically they outgrow the length of the action itself for the receiver portion. Something like this. So here's the 338 Remington Ultra Magnum. Enormous cartridge. We're talking overall length from head stamp, head of the case to the tip of the bullet. We're already at 3.8 inches. And that's with the bullet sat in the case pretty far. That's, shoved up here. We'll get into this bullet in a second, but typically with a standard Remington 700 long action, you would be lucky to get a 3.8 inch bullet in there. Cartridge. We're measuring 3.795. That is the absolute longest you could get in this thing. And that would be pushing it. Usually it's 7.50 just to give a little clearance for that bullet to be able to feed out of a magazine, right? Okay, so here's your standard magazine, box magazine made by Remington. And yeah, like I said, what are we getting here? So 3.620, 3.6 would be the longest you'd be able to get into one of these guys. And so that's, for those that don't know the inner workings of a rifle, so here's your box mag. This is what would be sitting inside your stock if you've never taken that apart. So that's scrunched up in there, right? And here's your bottom metal, as they refer to it, the floor plate. So that whole assembly kind of sits like that. So that's all inside your stock. If you've never taken these screws apart and pulled the barreled action out, that's what it looks like inside there. And so typically you'd open your floor plate. This is disassembled right now because I got to do some work to it, but you'd open your floor plate and feed your rounds in there. 338 Ultramag, you'd be lucky to get 2 in there, let alone 3. I don't think 3 would fit. So you're kind of stuck with your length, overall length of the cartridge. So something like this. Yeah, this one will fit. So you're stuck at 3.62 something inches for your overall length of the cartridge itself. That limitates you to your bullet seating depth, your bullet selection, and all that kind of stuff. So you're kind of restricted on your Ultramags and your super long cartridges like this. So either you live with it, or you get something called an extended length box magazine. There's an outfit run by a friend of mine, Dalton, called Wyatt's Outdoors. And they are a lifesaver for guys that like to tinker and like to sit their bullets out and like to play around with different lengths of bullets, So in this case, my guy he wants to play around with these cutting edge laser bullets. Actually, they're These are the lasers with the plastic tip on them, the black tip. Ballistic coefficient of 630. Extremely impressive performance for long-range shooting in general, whether that be hunting or targets. These are hunting bullets because when they hit the game animal, it will actually expand into, like, I think it's like 3 petals. They'll separate and just kind of explode out into the chest cavity, into the vital area of your game animal. So, you know, they're really cool. They've got this, they're all copper, and they've got this seal tight band. But I'm not going to get too much into that. This video is not about the bullets, but it's an example for what we're trying to do here. So they're having you seat that bullet right there, and even in this, there's no way. There's no way that's going to feed in there. You see that tip, you know, it'll fit, but you've got to angle it down. So this is a single shot. If you want to go with this, you can't stick them in there. They just get jammed up. It would not work. So in this case, my customer, before he bought the rifle to me, he'd have to put it on top, you know, get it in there, sitting on top of the follower spring, or the follower in the spring, and then close the bolt. So basically one shot at a time. So for a hunting situation, that's kind of not ideal because it takes a lot longer time to fire, open the bolt, you know, get the case out, and then dig in your pocket or wherever you've got another bullet, and then hurry up, stick another one on top, close the bolt, and then get back on your target and all that stuff. So yeah, not super ideal. Plus, on top of all that, he's a hand loader, so he likes to play with the bullet seating depth. And these, you know, like any bullet, likes to kind of be closer to the lands. Well, with these lasers, forget about it. You'll never get it close enough to the lands to get it to actually operate a magazine. No matter how long, it was about 4 inches. It was beyond 4 inches for these lasers. Right, so they don't make it's physically impossible to get anything longer than that inside here. So along comes Wyatt's Outdoors, saving the day. Saving the day with their CFE-9 extended box magazine kit, which is comprised of a extended box mag here, nicely made out of obviously steel, and then their follower and spring. So this new extended box magazine, the CFE Charlie Foxtrot Egypt-9er, will allow a guy to get a cartridge in there of 4 inches. Oops, here, let's measure it back here. 4 inches and a couple thousandths, but they say 4 inches maximum, which is pretty dang long. You know, that's going to get you the ability to play around with your seating depth. Now, in this case, we've ordered some Maximus bullets, 225 grain, 338 cal Maximus, which will give us the ability to play around with our seating depth on this. So, plenty of room. Plenty of room to play around, to reliably feed in there. We'll get 2 in the mag and 1 in the chamber, so this guy will have 3 shots on large game at distance. And be able to set that bullet all the way out to the lands with still a little bit of clearance there. Clearance. Okay, so what we got to do, you can't just put this in. Okay, so this box mag, it's going to sit in there like any other box mag, except you're going to have a guy like me modify your action right back here. You see that? We need some clearance cuts here. So we got to come in with a specific sized end mill, with this securely held in a vise of the milling machine. I got to come in here and clear out all this material at the same depth. It's proper to cut it to the same depth as the internal, the receiver feed lips here. So that's got to be cleared out in order for this box to sit in there. We're not touching the front end here. That's a no-no. We don't want to mess with that. So it's all back here. Which means, as you can see here, here's your bolt release stop. So that will also have to be modified back so the bolt can be able to come back far enough in order to pick up these new cartridges. So, not a difficult job, really, but it does take some, you know, if you got a milling machine and you know what you're doing there, you can do this. So that's where I come in. This is another service we offer here at Accurate Rifles and Restorations. So if you're looking to play around with long bullets and you want the ability to seat them, you know, to the lands or close, you know, a little bit off. Usually you don't want to just jam it in there, but get in touch, get a hold of me. This is a fairly relatively inexpensive job. I don't have to pull the barrel off. This one just happens to have the barrel off. So none of that has to happen. I just pull it out of your stock, strip off all this stuff, get it in the mill, and do these cuts. I can re-blue it, whether that be cold blue or traditional hot salts black oxide bluing. We do that here as well, so we can re-blue all your stuff. Get it all nice in one even color here, just like this one, and just like you see here. And yeah, so we can do all that for you. We'll provide this kit and the service to properly do the job correctly, safely, and get it back to you in a reasonable amount of time. Contact information will be down below. You can find all that good stuff down there. Please do not hesitate. Get in touch if you're interested in this kind of service. We can get it done for you. Okay, first thing to do here is walk back this this feature here. You'll see a little yellow line. That's where we're going to back of the box mag stops. So it's important to follow the kind of the taper here. Don't go any deeper than that. The internal feed lip deal there. And there's another feature we'll cut a little bit later, but for now we're going to walk this back so that that box will drop in there. So as I do this, I'm going to double check some things, kind of sneak up on it real slow like. First, I'm going to make sure the end mill is not too deep. Come back. And yep, it's just a touch. So let's zero that Z-axis. All right. Do that. Drop down about 2/1000 above it. 2.5. One-thousandths. All right, there we go. You just touch off on that surface. Just for fun, we'll zero everything out here. Come in. Just start cutting it back. check here. Just doing a climb cut on this. Yep, so we're getting into that rear screw hole there. But everything's looking good. Press on. Now I got to pay attention to my left and right, or these sections of the magazine well feed port. So I'm going to come back, 0, my X, know where to come back to. Now I just need to establish my, basically the edges out here. I'm trying not to cut into that. Just want to get a baseline here to start where this end of this is. Right there. So this is absolute. We'll set a Y 0 for that. And we'll come back to the other side and set a 0 for that. Okay, so let's go. Here. Come to our X0. Give it a couple thousandths. Hit our Y, 0. $36. Okay, let's check that. Yeah, it's looking nice. Maintaining depth and everything. Could probably come a little bit wider out here, but I'm going to keep it where it's at and just focus right now on getting the length for the box mag. I may have to whittle away at the edges of the back radius a little bit, but this is basically the general idea. So as you can see by the line, I got quite a bit more to go. Clear the chips out so I can see. 50. Okay, let's check it. Real close here. Feel like it's just starting to sit in there. $475. And $450. So yep, we are real close now. You want a little bit of play. I don't want this to be a tight fit by any means. Still undersized, so we need about 10 thousandths to get to the box length itself, and maybe a little more for clearance. So let's take another cut. Let's do a finishing pass. I mean, I'm not super struggling here, but I do want it to have a little clearance, just so that it'll work with the bottom metal and everything, the BDL hinged floor plate. Right, so, yeah, let's get that up. I'm gonna take another, like a 5,000th finishing pass here. But I mean, get my head in the way here real quick. Yeah, the radiuses and all that stuff, that's looking perfect. I followed the line to a T here, back here. A couple features we've got to correct here, but like I said, we're just fitting the box right now. And that's all coming out nice. So one more finishing pass ought to give us the clearance we need. Okay, now that the box fits perfectly, there's one more cut to make with this in this configuration. There's these little radiuses in the back here that's where the base of the cartridge basically sits. So this needs to be walked back kind of like it was originally. So this stuff's going to go all the way back to here to the end of our new cut. And that will give clearance for the base of the cartridge when it's sitting there ready for the bullet to pick it up. There's no chance of it like missing or having any feeding problems basically. So that's all we're going to do is come down, cut those back, and that'll be it for this. Okay, that's it for that. All right, so here we have the receiver out of the milling machine. Just get a few shots of the cuts at a different angle. So you can see by the bright, shiny metal, that's how much we had to cut back in order for the new CFE-9 to fit. So now it's nicely installed into the receiver on the bottom. It's not so loose that it's fallen out, but it's still got a little bit of clearance and looser. A little bit of clearance in there for proper operation. And so with that in place, here's the new magazine and follower, which will be held in like this under the bottom metal plate. So one thing to keep in mind with this kit is that in order to load it, you can't top load it like a normal BDL due to the fact that these feed lips here, the magazine lips, they're too narrow, but they have to be in order to hold back these enormous cartridges. So that's kind of the way this works. It's a small little caveat. So basically all you got to do is turn your rifle upside down, open up the hinged floor plate. And we'll pretend like this is in a stock. And then, so open up the plate, and open up this way. Drop in your unfired rounds. Be able to get 2 of those in there. No problem. For demonstration purposes, we'll just use 1. Close the plate back up. And then you've got your 2 cartridges ready for loading there. With the cartridge loaded in the bottom of the magazine, close up the plate, which presents your rounds just like it normally would. Not sure, you probably can't see in there, but those feed lips on the internal magazine are now essentially the new feed lips for the longer cartridge. And so, if I can get this in frame. So, this is a left-handed action, so that's why it probably looks weird. But that in there simply works just like any other. Now the other part of this job, you've got to walk back the bolt stop. So that'll allow the bolt to come back far enough so originally, the bolt would come back basically there, and so you've got to take the bolt stop here and walk back this section of it. So with the modified bolt stop there, that's going to allow the bolt to come back far enough to pick up the next round out of the magazine. Just like that. Okay, before we reassemble everything and get the rifle back into service, there's one more slight modification that needs to happen. And that's concerning the back end of the bottom metal, the BDL hinged floor plate. So what the problem here is, since this is now so stinking long, the follower, so we'll just pull this. So since this is so long, and we'll just pretend like this is sitting in a stock right now. The way you load the thing is, you can't, like I said before, you can't just drop them. You can't just push them down from the top like in a traditional manner. Due to the feed lips here on the box, they're very stiff and they don't flex really. They are adjustable, but they're not intended to flex in order to receive a new round. Now, you could kind of fish it in there forward and then back, but nobody's got the time for that kind of thing. So what's got to happen is you got to open the door and drop your rounds in from the bottom and then close it. Well, so here's the problem. You know, you can't get the thing to close because of this real long follower now. So what's got to happen is we got to cut the back of this here. So I've scribed around where that has to go. Hopefully that's coming out. But it's back here. So that's going to have to be relieved and cut out. And then the other problem is we're going to lose our spring. So the spring's mounted in there, right there. So the release spring here, the coil spring turns into an L shape and it goes through a hole and kind of hooks onto the back right there. Well, cutting all this material away, we're going to lose that. So what's got to happen after that is drilling and tapping a hole so that we can put a pin through here to capture that spring again. So once all that's done, this will function again like you normally would. You know, it's a little cumbersome, but it's a trade-off that has to be there in order to get this long 4-inch box mag inside and to work. So it's just a conversation you got to have. You know, is the hunter willing to accept that trade-off? If not, he's not going to get a 4-inch overall length in the rifle. It's just how it is. Got it out of the milling machine and finally working as it should. It took some tweaking, but so you have to push a little bit forward on that spring to get that thing to close. But as you can see, I took out quite a bit of material there in the back. It's getting thin there, but structurally still sound. And then the new location for the spring there. So I had to modify the spring a little bit, clip off the leg, and you literally just shove the coils over that roll pin in there. But other than that, that should be everything for this modification. So we'll get this all back together and do some field testing. The Wyatt's Outdoors extended box magazine. So I guess that's about it. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like that video. Like or dislike, whatever. Leave a comment. And subscribe. Please subscribe if you like this kind of stuff. We're uploading at least once a week. Try to. And we'll have much more to come. So thank you again for watching. Like the video, comment, and subscribe. This is Jeff from Accurate Rifles and Restoration. Over and out. Have a great day. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye.